Desolate landscape. This collapse was the result of an earthquake that shook the world, causing dungeons to appear. Monsters appearing from dungeons of all types are unaffected by normal weapons. At this time, the only people who can defeat them are those who possess a type of supernatural ability called skills. By using their skills to defeat monsters, these individuals could level up and achieve unexpected heights. The image of a person in shining armor appeared. They were heroes feared and revered by the world, known as aberrants. In a corner of the dungeon, a person wielding a long sword faced a monster. That was Kisaragi Tsukasa, level 4, with the skill Mimicry. He charged at a goblin with his sword. As he approached, he shouted and swung his sword horizontally. However, the blow didn't inflict much damage, only like an itch to the monster. His status screen then appeared, notifying him that the Mimicry skill couldn't copy the target's skill. Realizing this, he could only frown and click his tongue. While he was distracted, the goblin jumped, counterattacking. As its weapon neared him, a voice boomed, "Fireball." This person summoned a fireball with extremely high damage, directly hitting the goblin and burning it to ashes. Tsukasa fell to the ground. The move saved him, but the rescuer's first words were mocking. "You shouldn't struggle so much just to kill that pathetic mob, you're an idiot." The speaker was Tadu Kakeru, level 15, skill, Flame Master. Tsukasa looked up at him. The person standing before him was Tadu Kakeru. He was considered a rising star among the current generation of aberrants. The reason lay in the skill he possessed. Skills began appearing in a group of people at the same time as the dungeons. They could determine an aberrant's rank and superiority. Kakeru turned away, saying, "Don't just sit there, Kisaragi, go collect those magic stones, at least try to be useful." It was unclear what he felt upon hearing this sarcastic remark. He only replied in a low voice, "I understand." And the skill Kakeru possessed was Flame Master. It was an exceptionally powerful skill that allowed him to control fire at will. Tsukasa compared it to his own skill, Mimicry. Mimicry allowed him to use the skill of a monster after physical contact. He explained, "It lets me copy a monster's skill, but the success rate is extremely low. It also requires me to risk approaching the monster." He followed Kakeru's instructions, picking up magic stones, silently thinking, "This is a flawed skill." One of the two team members asked him, "Hey, how long did it take you to clear that dungeon?" That was Yashimayura Riku, level 10, skill, super strength. The other mocked, "You can't even fight, and your skill is pathetic, why don't you just quit?" This was Inu Hayato, level 11, skill, super speed. The other, Kakeru, put his arm around him in a friendly manner, but his words were sharp, "Don't say that, we're all comrades here, aren't we?" He leaned close with a contemptuous attitude, "Try to make the most of that trash skill of yours, seriously." Tsukasa seemed used to these taunts and didn't respond, because his reason for becoming an adventurer was to cure his sister, Kisaragi Mayu, his only relative, from a congenital disease she suffered from. And what he needed for this purpose was an antidote, a panacea that could cure his sister. "Until I get it, I won't give up being an adventurer." Returning to the present, Riku asked, "So, what's our goal today?" Hayato replied, "We're not going to the boss's lair, are we?" Kakeru stepped on a rock and said, "Today's target is the monster's nest." He laughed arrogantly, "We'll go there and take all the treasure for ourselves." After arriving at the monster's nest, he unleashed his skill recklessly, "Taste some fire, goblins." This time, all the monsters were burned to ashes. His status screen showed, Tadu Kakeru leveled up from 15 to 16. Skill, Flame Master, even just goblins, I can level up if I defeat them all. Tsukasa frowned, actually. He saw himself left behind. The only way to level up is to defeat monsters, but I can't do that by myself. Even if I join a group, Tadu and the others kill them all, so I get no experience. He clenched his fists, his face showing worry. If things continue like this, going with them is useless. The group entered the goblin's lair and reached a place filled with treasure. Hayato and Riku excitedly rushed towards the gold, while Kakeru stood still, sensing something. He went to a spot and touched the wall, attracting Tsukasa's attention. Then, he suddenly unleashed his skill, blowing up the wall and sending rocks flying. After the explosion, behind the wall appeared a meticulously crafted golden door. Someone exclaimed in disbelief, "There's a secret room here." In the dungeon when the extra room is found, it is usually filled with powerful and rare items, but on the other hand, it can also be a hidden place full of traps. If you're unlucky enough to trigger a dangerous trap, you'll be instantly killed. Riku asks uncertainly, what if it's a trap, to do? He confidently replies, no problem, I have a great idea. Then, he approaches Tsukasa from behind and says, sorry, Kisaragi. Before Tsukasa could react, Kakeru throws a surprise punch to his face, knocking him down. Then, gripping Tsukasa's neck, he declares, you'll die in our place. Kakeru's face is arrogant and cruel as he says this. Tsukasa, still confused, asks, what are you talking about? Seeing the situation escalate, Riku calls out uncertainly, wait, are you planning to use Kisaragi to trigger the trap? Hayato also tries to reason with him. Using a teammate as a guinea pig is a bit cruel, isn't it, to do? Kakeru says nonchalantly, are you kidding? I'm just finding a way to recycle this trash sample. Then, the two team members, seemingly just going through the motions of stopping them, pull Tsukasa towards the door from both sides. You're being used, Kakeru says with false politeness, thanks for your help. He smiles with narrowed eyes, but his words are filled with contempt, see you if you survive, Kisaragi. Tsukasa can only grit his teeth and curse, get lost. Finally, they shut the door, trapping him inside. Tsukasa sits on the ground, his face buried in his hands, damn it. Suddenly, a blinding blue light appears, he instinctively covers his eyes, what? When he opens his eyes again, the surrounding scenery leaves Tsukasa bewildered. Where am I? A magnificent ancient arena appears. Tsukasa suddenly feels a chill down his spine because each dungeon has its own level. Beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, and a level that no one has ever conquered before. Legendary, first, the feet, then gradually the eyes and mouth. And finally, a monstrous wolf-like creature, radiating overwhelming power, roars its dominance. It's Fenrir, the god-slaying beast, level 80, skills unknown. Tsukasa can hardly believe it, this is a joke, right? This is a legendary level dungeon. He pushes himself up, giving a strained laugh, that low-level dungeon led here, no way. Tsukasa stands straight, clenching his fists, but I refuse. He recalls his past. One day, his parents suddenly passed away, leaving Mayu as his only remaining family. Instead of running, he points his sword at the wolf, his face determined, for Mayu, I refuse to die in a place like this. Then, he charges towards Fenrir, accepting the inevitable. The wolf, as if provoked, lets out a roar. And he tries to use a skill by touching it, but to no avail. Tsukasa is blown away by its overwhelming power, crashing into a wall. He collapses to the ground, his status window appearing. The mimicry skill cannot copy the target's abilities. Tsukasa spits out blood. Is this really the end? No, he won't give up. He struggles to his feet. However, he's spent. The last image he sees is his little sister. A beautiful girl with bright brown hair, smiling brightly. I'm sorry, Mayu, I'm a failure. He closes his eyes, accepting his helplessness. Suddenly, a commanding voice rings out. Sit down. The voice fills the space with an invisible pressure. The Fenrir wolf now raised its fangs and claws, and was forced to lie down. Are you surprised how Fenrir is? That voice echoed again, good boy, Fenrir. Footsteps. Hair. And finally, the person's face appeared. It was a beautiful girl with white hair, red eyes, and a long, elegant black dress. She smiled softly and said, you know, I'd be very grateful if you were a little gentler with him. After all, he's a guest. Welcome to my castle, it's a pleasure to meet you. Tsukasa, sitting on the ground, looked up and asked who she was. She placed a finger to her lips, her eyes radiating mystery. Oh, you look better than I thought, but it probably won't last, because right now you're. Loki reached out and touched Tsukasa's cheek, surprising him. What is she doing? Before he could finish his question, she continued her previous thought, my gift. At that moment, a blazing red magic circle appeared beneath them. The mysterious voice appeared again, be grateful. Then Tsukasa's eyes widened, and he felt something flow into his body. And his status window displayed continuous notifications. The mimicry skill has evolved into forgery, a large amount of power has been received, you will level up now. Tsukasa leveled up from 24 to 25, and his mimicry skill evolved into forgery. This surprised him greatly. I leveled up, and my skill too. What the heck just happened? Loki finished and laughed excitedly. Then, looking at Tsukasa struggling to his feet, she said, well, I'll be going now. A plume of black smoke appeared. Tsukasa coughed up blood, struggling. Please wait, can you explain? Loki interrupted him again. Use your new power to defeat it. If you do, you'll be able to leave this legendary dungeon. The forger, she left with a laugh and disappeared. Tsukasa, trembling, stood up with his sword, facing the roaring Fenrir. Are you kidding? How am I supposed to beat this monster? Fenrir, without hesitation, swung a sharp claw at Tsukasa. He quickly parried with his sword. Coincidentally, this triggered a notification on his status window. The forgery skill has been activated. Tsukasa was knocked back. Target, Fenrir, God-slaying skill copied. He helplessly cursed, how am I supposed to fight this thing? Suddenly, Tsukasa felt something. His status window informed him, Fenrir God-slaying skill, successfully copied target's skill. Only then did Tsukasa realize he had copied Fenrir's skill. The status window displayed a notification, successfully copied the skill of the god Fenrir. Skill, Divine Might, effect, grants the appearance of a god and enhances physical abilities to the maximum, duration, 1 minute. Tsukasa, seeing a glimmer of hope, smirked, if I use this skill, I might be able to win. He frowned, but it only lasts 1 minute, I need to get used to using it quickly. He stood straight, facing the roaring Fenrir. Suddenly, it leaped towards Tsukasa. He managed to dodge Fenrir's claws. After activating the skill, he realized he could easily dodge Fenrir's relentless attacks, something he couldn't do before. Tsukasa parried a blow and realized, my body feels so light, so the increased speed also improves my reflexes. Not only that, but I can also counterattack, and I even copied Fenrir's skill. The status window appeared, skill, clumsy mimicry, effect, low chance of copying target skills, copied skills disappear after use, condition, touch the target, and another skill, Tsukasa obtained simulation. The status window gave its description. Skill, simulation, effect, 100% chance of copying target skills, copied skills do not disappear, condition, touch the target or experience the skill firsthand. He read this and thought, touching is 100% success, that's great, but what about experiencing? Fenrir was unable to defeat his small prey, causing it to lose patience, emitting a powerful aura and rushing towards him. This move makes Tsukasa cough in pain, but at the same time opens up a new skill. The wolf magic skill hinders movement. He held his throat down, struggling to breathe. This is. The status panel displays details of the new skill. The wolf god's domineering skill has been copied successfully. Wolf god's overwhelming aura, details. The silver wolf's threat significantly hinders the target's movement. Duration, 10 seconds, varies with level. Tsukasa understood upon seeing it, so that's how it is. The experience means getting hit by that skill, makes me want to cry. Suddenly Tsukasa was startled because Fenrir continued to launch a new move Vannergand. Its 4 claws transformed into 4 massive blades capable of cleaving through stone, hurtling towards him. Tsukasa was stunned, but his enhanced reflexes allowed him to narrowly avoid death. Fenrir's move was so powerful that it left 4 huge claw marks on the stone floor. And he whispered happily and said, if you get that shot, you'll be completely destroyed. Fenrir restlessly raised his claws high. He continued to swing his sword to block the attack. If this continues, I will lose. Even if it's a 100% successful copy, taking that last hit would have definitely killed me. But as the battle progressed, he understood the disparity and secretly formulated a battle plan. Divine Might skill, grants the appearance of a god and maximizes physical abilities, duration, 1 minute. This skill seems like a lifeline, making him think that if he used this skill, Fenrir would unleash the Vannergand attack again. In a tight situation, Tsukasa shouted, it was all or nothing. Then activate the skill, Divine Skill activates. The status board just showed this message. Tsukasa entered his current strongest state. He jumped up, avoiding the attack range of the Van Nap attack. With smoke and dust, Tsukasa unlocked a new skill, Skill Vannergand copied successfully. He displayed an unusually calm demeanor and a cold gaze. Divine Might, 60 seconds remaining, Divine Might, 50 seconds remaining. The status screen shows Divine Might, 30 seconds remaining. Tsukasa raised his sword high, blue enhanced power and black lightning covered him. He swung his sword down hard. Catch Fenrir and cast a powerful Vannergand skill towards it. Fenrir was hit. Usage time. Casting time, divine power remains 50 seconds until the end. Tsukasa took advantage of Fenrir's shock. But pressing closer gave it a series of slashes. He happily thought to himself, this is divine power, this surging strength can be defeated. Fenrir roared from the onslaught of attacks. Tsukasa thought while giving it a kick in the face, causing it to hit the ground hard. The status screen appeared, divine might, 30 seconds remaining. He saw it and thought to himself, the usage time is only 30 seconds before it expires. Then, without missing a beat, he rushed up and continuously slashed at Fenrir. However, Fenrir didn't give up and began to defend. He thought, I have 20 seconds left, to defeat it, I need another Vandergand. Thinking this, Tsukasa retreated to prepare the attack again. It seemed like great thoughts met both him and Fenrir at the same time performing Vandergand. Two huge forces collided to create lightning. However, due to the level difference, Fenrir's attack had the upper hand, and he quickly evaded. Tsukasa also realized that because of the level difference, attacking from afar doesn't work. If so, we must attack directly. Tsukasa charged forward with a different mindset. But Fenrir opened its mouth, preparing to unleash another attack. Tsukasa realized it was dead. Couldn't wait. With 8 seconds left before the divine power wore off, Fenrir ejected a huge source of power. It created an explosion that would obliterate anyone caught in it. Luckily, Tsukasa escaped. He jumped with 6 seconds remaining. Fenrir opened its mouth, preparing to use the same attack. 5 seconds left, he shouted, I'll let you shoot again, I guess. Then he threw his sword, striking Fenrir directly in the eye. 4 seconds left. Fenrir, its eye injured, roared in pain. Tsukasa landed on its head and pulled out his sword. 3 seconds left. He raised his sword again, uttering a final remark. 2 seconds left. He yelled and plunged his sword down, aiming to finish Fenrir. Only 1 second left. Suddenly, Loki's voice echoed, that's enough. Tsukasa's sword tip was mere centimeters from Fenrir's eye. He managed to restrain himself. When Loki gave the order, he unconsciously copied a skill from her. The status screen displayed a message, simulation skill activated, wordplay skill successfully copied. Loki appeared and clapped in admiration. That was tough, wasn't it? A fantastic fight. Then she snapped her fingers, suggesting a truce. The fight's over, so let's start a peace celebration, shall we? A moment later, Tsukasa rubbed his shoulder, watching Loki sitting on Fenrir, who surprisingly allowed it. He asked her why she did that. Loki tossed her hair and replied, if I had to say, it was probably to kill time. She recalled the past. Adventurers rarely came here. And even if they did, they'd be quickly defeated. I didn't expect someone like you to appear. This statement confused him. Loki approached. Can you listen to my wish? He asked what the wish was. She touched his cheek and whispered, I want to freely see the outside world. Loki explained, when I go outside, my power weakens, preventing me from moving freely. That's why I need your cooperation. He agreed immediately upon hearing this. I understand. She was slightly surprised and laughed, immediately. Tsukasa looked at her, silently assessing her. And there are many mysteries, so I can't fully trust you, but thanks to you, I was able to fight Fenrir, so I think cooperation is best. He looked at her sincerely. You want to freely see the outside world, right, specifically. But suddenly, his vision blurred. Then he collapsed, and Loki caught him. She said, you've overexerted yourself, so it's no surprise. Before losing consciousness, he asked her name. She gently replied, my name is Loki, let's help each other from now on, Kisaragi Tsukasa. Then he lost consciousness. Some time later, he opened his eyes again to an unfamiliar ceiling. A voice echoed, finally awake, you sleepyhead, still drowsy, he asked, who's there? Loki sighed, seriously, you've already forgotten. She sat on a chair, her form like a child, scolding him. You're such a cruel man. Loki, in her childlike form, sat on a chair in the hospital room, scolding him. Oh my, you've already forgotten, what an ungrateful man. Hearing her tone, he realized, could it be Loki? She jumped off the chair. Don't call me MS, Loki, just Loki. Then she climbed on top of Tsukasa and said, I thought I was about to do fun things in the outside world, but I didn't expect you to be bedridden, daring to make me bored. She sat on Tsukasa's body, stroking his hair and looking at him with a mysterious expression. The person responsible is making you embarrassed. First you should come down, and then we'll talk. After a while, Tsukasa, with a serious expression, asked, "What happened after I passed out, could you tell me?" Loki sat swinging her legs at the edge of the bed and replied, "After you fainted, I carried you and teleported you back to the beginner dungeon." "I see, so that's it, then why are you in the hospital?" This word made her slightly confused, and she repeated it, "Hospital, you mean this place?" She said, "After teleporting you, I left you right there, then, an adventurer happened to pass by and found you. That person contacted others and brought you here." She spoke while using magic to take an apple from the fruit bowl for his patient. Loki happily ate the apple, while Tsukasa still had questions, but if she could teleport instantly, why hadn't she ever gone outside? She replied, "Because I am a god, I need a lot of magical energy to maintain my true form. There's very little magical energy on the surface, so I can only use this childlike form, but in this form, how can I freely travel?" He stroked his chin in agreement. "True, the police would immediately question me." Suddenly, seeming annoyed by his many questions, she knocked Tsukasa on the head. "Too many questions." Tsukasa rubbed his head but continued to ask questions. "More importantly, why did you save me?" Loki magically spun the apple in response, "Because I thought you'd cooperate, that's why." Suddenly she stopped, then smirked mischievously. "Details later," she said, leaving him confused. She snapped her fingers, summoning a black aura like the one in the dungeon. Seeing this, he understood and asked, "Where are you going?" She turned her head, smiled at him, and said, "I'm not rude enough to bother other people's family time. See you later then, Tsukasa." As soon as he finished speaking, Loki vanished, leaving only a trail of black smoke. Suddenly, something caught his attention. Standing outside the hospital room was his younger sister, Mayu. She stood looking at him and called out his name, Tsukasa. Tsukasa was also very surprised that it was his sister, Mayu. Then Mayu rushed over and hugged him, crying out, "Tsukasa." She clutched his shirt, tears streaming down her face. "You idiot, you've been unconscious for a whole week, the doctor said you might not wake up again." Hearing this, he smiled lightly, stroking his sister's head. "A week, I've been sleeping that long, I worried you, I'm sorry, Mayu." She still held the blanket tightly, her voice low. "You're really awake, it's a relief, if even you were gone, I..." He calmly comforted his sister, "Don't worry, I won't go anywhere, I still have you." Mayu started crying again, but this time it was tears of happiness. Then Mayu admonished him, "Be good, okay, big brother." He honestly agreed, "I know, and you shouldn't overwork yourself either." She went to the door, winking at him, "Don't worry, I've been feeling better lately." As soon as Mayu left, he sighed in relief. It's never peaceful with that kid. At that moment, Loki, who had disappeared earlier, returned and asked him, "Tsukasa, was that girl your sister?" He confirmed with a gentle expression, "My only remaining relative." He recalled his sister coughing up blood and explained. Mayu had always been frail since birth. The doctors said there was no cure. So I went into the dungeon to search for a panacea. Hearing this, Loki revealed a truth that shattered his illusion. "Unfortunately, Tsukasa," she said with a pensive expression, "the illness your sister has, it seems even a panacea wouldn't work." The information shocked Tsukasa, making his face turn angry. "What do you mean?" Loki quickly explained, "The reason your sister is so frail is probably because of a dungeon curse." He repeated dungeon curse, and Loki continued, "More precisely, it's a curse from a skill." She lazily sat down. "Who it is, I don't know, it's probably caused by someone of godlike status like me." Tsukasa leaned forward, questioning, "A curse skill, so, if I defeat that god and break the curse, it'll be fine, right?" She confirmed that. Tsukasa suddenly called out, "Loki." The name caught her attention. He clenched his fists and looked at her with determined eyes. "I will defeat that guy and break his curse, can you cooperate with me?" She thought, then stood up and replied, "Okay, Loki shows confidence and smiles at you. I'll cooperate with you, consider it entertainment, I'm also interested in whoever cast that curse." He happily thanked her. Loki waved his arms and legs as if excitedly planning with him. "It's decided, then let's go deep into the dungeon and do special training every day. If you want to challenge a mythical level dungeon, real-life experience is indispensable." Tsukasa's sweat dropped honestly. "I really want to do that too, but I have to go to school." From now on Loki wonders, what is school? He explained to her, "At Tenjetsu Academy, where I study, all the students are awakened individuals. it's a school established specifically for those who want to become adventurers. After his thorough explanation, Loki concluded, whatever. Tsukasa raised his fist, let's help each other from now on. Loki raised her fist in response, I also look forward to your help, Tsukasa. 3 days later, a day off. At Jedmo, the Japanese dungeon management organization, the receptionist stopped him, you're not allowed to enter the dungeon alone. Sure enough, it was Tsukasa who was stopped. He scratched his neck, so it's like that, huh? She continued to dissuade him, think again, the level difference is too great. She further explained that for solo adventurers to safely explore, there's a rule that they can only go to floors with a lower level than themselves. Same level means equal footing, and the higher the level, the more dangerous it is. She held his identification card and explained, your level, Mr. Kisaragi, is 4, while the lowest level area in the beginner Goblin Cave dungeon is level 5. It's not entirely impossible, but we can't permit it. Then she returned the card to Tsukasa. Seeing that, Loki angrily said to himself, what a disrespectful person, too, I'll chop her into 100 pieces, making Tsukasa helplessly cover his face and respond with thoughts, don't say such dangerous words, besides, I've already decided not to let people see the real D card. His real card showed his current level as 25, with the skill copycat. He took the card from the receptionist, remembering that the last time he entered a dungeon, his level was 4, with the skill clumsy imitation, and Jedmo still had that data on record, yet now, he was level 25, with a different skill. If they found out, it would definitely be a lot of trouble. Loki didn't quite agree, sighing, you're so lenient, or are you just weak? He urged her to go, Loki. I don't want to cause a commotion. She smiled meaningfully. It's still a bit early to go back, Tsukasa, try using wordplay, I think it'll be fun. Tsukasa realized that it was the skill he had copied from Lokia, forbidden to activate here, but trying it wouldn't hurt. Thinking this, he approached the receptionist, making her look puzzled. He tried making a request, could you let me solo the dungeon? Simultaneously, he activated the wordplay skill. The receptionist was immediately hypnotized and changed her mind, I understand now, once the procedure has been completed, please present your D card. Then the two smoothly went outside, but he was still a little worried and asked if she was sure they wouldn't be discovered. Loki affirmed, no one will ever detect wordplay. That's the skill of a god. Loki looked at him with a confident expression. Tsukasa also followed suit and praised her, just like what she said, it's Loki-sama. She read his thoughts and teased him, how does it feel, even if just a little, you seem to have respected me. Then the two arrived at the dungeon portal, connected to all dungeons, allowing them to freely go to any area they wanted. Tsukasa scans the notification system card. D card confirmed the village gates are open, please pay attention. Tsukasa firmly stepped inside with determination, regardless of the dungeon or type of dungeon area. If it's to break the curse for Mayu, I will kill even a god. 2 figures, one tall and one short, firmly stepped into the dungeon portal, their first stop, the Goblin Cave, first floor. Loki put her hands on her hips and said to him, getting into the dungeon is good, but what are you planning to do now? He replied, right now, I want to see how far I can go. Just then, a goblin appeared, wielding an old sword, the level 5 goblin looking at them like a meal. Without hesitation, Tsukasa reached for the sword on his back, first. He drew his sword to try it out on these guys. At this time, his status was Kisaragi Tsukasa, level 25, skill copycat. He dashed towards the goblin at incredible speed, then delivered a clean blow. This time, unlike before, it wasn't like scratching an itch, but with this single strike, the goblin instantly perished in a pool of blood. Seeing him toy with it made Loki pout, you're just enjoying yourself, with your current level, how can these things pose any challenge to you? Tsukasa didn't pay much attention, bending down to pick up a magic stone. What's wrong with having some fun? After all, this is the first time I've defeated a goblin on my own. Loki sighed, your level is 25, it's only natural that you can defeat it. He explained, the reason my level increased is that Loki transferred a large amount of magical energy to me. So the goblins I couldn't defeat before, I can now easily defeat them. Tsukasa knows how to flatter, I really appreciate you, thank you. Loki made her nose flare up, no lead. Loki looked at him and asked, now Tsukasa, what are you planning to do next? He held his sword and strode confidently, replying, of course, we're moving forward, the goal is the boss room. A while later, the two reached the 5th floor of the Goblin Cave, with Tsukasa leading the way down a long staircase. Loki trailed behind, floating in the air and sighing. Honestly, this place is really boring. Hearing her say that, he wondered, what were you expecting instead? Loki poked his cheek and replied playfully, of course, a battle feast of flesh and blood. Puffing out her cheeks, she retorted, let's be clear, there aren't any monsters here worthy of being your opponent, this is an alarming problem. Then, she glanced in one direction and announced, look, they're coming in droves. This was a horde of countless goblins, their eyes fixed on the two of them. Tsukasa calmly asked, there are quite a few enemies, aren't there? Is it because we're near the boss room? As soon as he finished speaking, he leaped up. One slash downwards, the goblin's head flew off, and he said, the first to strike is the strongest. Then came a battle against a horde, but he was so overwhelmingly strong that each strike killed one. As he cut them down, he easily deduced, no matter how many goblins there are, it's still simple. At first, I was a little worried about whether I could defeat them all, but it's fine like this. Although the goblins were like expendable pawns, their advantage was their numbers, so they kept swarming forward wave after wave. Finally, Tsukasa started to lose his patience. He raised his sword, its blade enveloped in green light and black lightning, while Loki's eyes widened in fear. Loki shouted to stop him, stop it, Tsukasa, but it seemed he didn't hear, too. Too late, Tsukasa unleashed his familiar technique, Vannergand. This one blow sent dust and smoke flying everywhere, wiping out the goblins, and leaving a deep, long fissure in the ground. Seeing that they were all dead, Tsukasa cheerfully shouldered his sword, one shot, all gone. Suddenly, his body felt a backlash, causing Tsukasa to collapse and cough. He broke into a cold sweat, his face contorted in pain. Seeing this, Loki said, that's why I told you to stop, you idiot. He looked up and called out to her, Loki. She coolly explained, that's the price you pay for a mortal body daring to use divine skills. This made Tsukasa confused. He retorted, but I didn't get hurt last time. Loki, seeing his stubbornness, turned away and waved her hand, that's because you were using divine might. He finally understood, it meant that Fenrir's skills couldn't be used unless he was in the divine might state. Loki softened her expression, that's how it is, and I have something else to tell you. Using her wordplay skill, she said, from now on, the use of skills copied from Fenrir will be forbidden. As soon as Loki finished, his status screen showed continuous notifications, divine might skill unavailable, sealed, Vannergand skill unavailable, sealed. This shocked him, no way. Loki calmly added, that's a warning, don't rely too much on your trump card, besides, a trump card is something to be used last. Loki chuckled triumphantly, while Tsukasa could only accept it with regret, that's why the divine stars are so mischievous. A short while later, they arrived at an intricately carved door. Tsukasa said, finally, we're here. Loki looked at the door sarcastically, goblins, and yet such an ornate door. Inside was the boss of the Goblin Cave, the Goblin King, whose skill is Summon Kin. It allows him to summon an unlimited number of goblins under his control. Can he be defeated? They say that's the difference between a true awakened one and the rest. Tsukasa opened the door, alright, let's go. The inside was extremely spacious. Looking up, he said, is that the boss? Loki continued her sarcasm, just a goblin, and yet so pretentious. They were referring to a goblin larger than the average ones, sitting on a throne and laughing at them. Tsukasa drew his sword, thinking, what's this? I should be scared, but I'm not. The level 15 Goblin King pushed himself up from his throne. At its feet black smoke appeared. It then summoned a whole bunch of regular goblins. Tsukasa remained calm. Compared to Fenrir, they were nothing. If that's the case, he could handle it alone. Suddenly, Loki used wordplay to provoke the monster, urging its rage to escalate. Unsurprisingly, the goblins seemed empowered and became ferocious. The status board announced that the Goblin King and the goblins had gone berserk. This enraged him, and he turned to Loki, asking, what did you just do? She replied with a mysterious smile, just a little challenge from me, do your best. Hearing her say that, he understood, smiled, accepted the challenge, and didn't forget to tease her. You look just like a Spartan god, don't you? The battle began. The Goblin King commanded its minions to fiercely attack. Tsukasa wasn't far behind, charging towards the monsters. As for Loki, She calmly watched the uneven fight, thinking, if you need divine power against this level of monster, you won't achieve anything. Back to Tsukasa, he was surrounded by the goblins, overwhelmed by their numbers. Tsukasa swung his sword frantically. However, because of Loki's wordplay, the monsters were no longer one-hit kills like before. After killing a regular goblin, before he could recover, others lunged at him. Tsukasa swung a powerful sword, felling them all. The regular goblins died, but Tsukasa realized that because of Loki's provocation, he could no longer kill them in one hit. Moreover, no matter how many regular goblins died, the Goblin King used its special skill to summon more. They fought like a swarm. Tsukasa fought alone against a horde that constantly died and reappeared. Seeing this situation, he felt tense. With this unique summoning skill, is there no limit to the waves of minions? The Goblin King in the center unleashed a skill like a tornado infused with lightning. Tsukasa swung his sword while thinking of a countermeasure. Because the Goblin King was berserk, were the newly summoned goblins also berserk? He kept swinging his sword. If he didn't defeat the Goblin King quickly, he would certainly be cornered. He had to seal that skill. At this thought, Tsukasa seemed to have an idea. He raised his hand, activating a skill. No more skills to use. At the same time, the status board announced the activation of the wordplay skill. Iron chains appeared, binding the Goblin King to restrict its movements. However, it seemed to have little effect. It easily broke free with a little effort. Then, it went berserk, quickly jumping to close the distance with Tsukasa, taking him by surprise. It swung its club, aiming to crush Tsukasa, but he managed to block it. However, due to the power difference, Tsukasa struggled. Suddenly, a powerful energy blast sent it flying. Tsukasa braced himself with his sword, frowning and cursing. Damn it, what just happened? It was Loki. She had saved Tsukasa. She praised him. Good tactics. If it hadn't communicated, it would have worked. But unfortunately, she said with a laugh. You understand now, it's the Goblin King's skill. She revealed the answer. It couldn't be sealed. At that moment, the Goblin King recovered and summoned another horde of minions. Tsukasa broke out in a cold sweat, while Loki announced, the enemy you are currently challenging is a god. Defeat it while it's in this state. Tsukasa stood up, bracing himself with his sword. Remember my sister, the one who cursed Mayu is a boss in a mythological level dungeon, just like Loki. Even if the enemy is only at this level, how can he be defeated? Tsukasa stood up and swung his sword again, surprising Loki. Can you still fight? Tsukasa assumed a fighting stance, his eyes full of determination as he answered her. Of course. He said, his eyes showed a sharp, cold look. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. With this motto, Tsukasa used lightning-fast consecutive strikes, killing every goblin his sword passed. Tsukasa carved a path through the goblin's blood to approach the Goblin King. The moment he approached, it seemed threatened by his gaze and aura. Then, it screamed madly and tried to activate its familiar summoning skill. As Tsukasa had expected, he smiled. You're using it, huh? He plunged his sword into the ground to absorb the Goblin King's dark energy. He boldly declared, summon familiar, I'll take it, your skill. He succeeded. The status window appeared, the copycat skill activated, successfully copying the summon familiar skill. Without hesitation, Tsukasa activated his new skill, summon familiar activated. A magic circle appeared, carrying immense energy. Tsukasa smiled, speculating, what will appear? Then a roar echoed. It was. Tsukasa looked bewildered at a small wolf pup that resembled Fenrir in its adult form. Could it be? The small wolf pup, Fenrir, was summoned by Tsukasa's summon familiar skill. It turned its large, round eyes towards him, then nuzzled against Tsukasa's leg in a friendly manner. Loki, who had been watching, laughed gleefully, making Tsukasa feel a little embarrassed. Then he looked down at his leg and thought, this is the Fenrir I fought in the small mythological rank dungeon, though, this one's a bit small. Suddenly, the goblins didn't give him time to get acquainted with his new companion and rushed towards him. The small Fenrir, seeing this, charged forward. Then it unleashed its familiar Vanargan skill. However, instead of 4 claws, probably due to its size, it only had 1. But the power was undeniable. This one attack created a large explosion, turning the goblins to ashes. Even Tsukasa, who had been somewhat embarrassed by the small Fenrir earlier, now had to admire it. No way. The small Fenrir, having done its deed, wagged its tail, looking to Tsukasa for praise. Tsukasa, not being stingy, knelt down and petted it. With a face full of trust, he said to the little Fenrir, "Let's fight together." It happily responded with a yelp. A man and a wolf continued the fight. "I'll leave the small fry to you, little Fenrir," it howled, showing it understood the order. Then, both of them jumped without hesitation. The little Fenrir towards the regular goblins, while Tsukasa approached the Goblin King, now a one-on-one fight. The Goblin King showed no fear. It raised its giant mallet and swung it down, the force creating a cloud of dust. Tsukasa raised his sword to block and then pushed back with all his strength. This time, using his own strength, he repelled the Goblin King's giant mallet, taking advantage of the Goblin King's imbalance. His eyes focused on its legs, and without hesitation, he struck, causing it to fall to the ground. It lay on the ground, as if still unable to believe what was happening. When it looked towards its subordinates, it found that the little Fenrir had single-handedly killed them all. Tsukasa breathed a sigh of relief because he finally took the initiative. He then punched the sword directly into the Goblin King's eyes and quickly pulled it out. This move caused it to clutch its face in pain. Tsukasa shouted, "Now, Fenrir." The little Fenrir, receiving the command, leaped up and unleashed Vannergand, delivering a fatal blow. Tsukasa took advantage of the opening, leaping up and bringing his sword down with both hands, adding a thrust to its head. The Goblin King screamed in agony. The result was clear: the Goblin King perished, leaving behind a black magic stone, while Tsukasa calmly sheathed his sword. Loki clapped and said, "You even know how to utilize summoned familiars. However, don't get too excited, this was just the boss of a beginner-level dungeon." He replied with his eyes closed, "I know." Tsukasa looked at the Goblin King's magic stone and thought, even though they say it's a beginner-level dungeon, I managed to conquer it alone. It's hard not to feel excited. He finally felt hope and said, "Just wait a little longer, Mayu." Loki looked at the little Fenrir, arms crossed, and asked, more importantly, "Tsukasa, what name will you give this little one?" Tsukasa stroked his chin, thinking, what name? How about, Lufin? Tsukasa looked at the little Fenrir, "This little one will be named Lufin." Lufin seemed to like the name, wagging its tail and rubbing its head against his leg. Tsukasa, seeing its fondness, thought to himself that he'd simply reversed the name Fenrir. Then he petted Lufin, "Time to go home, exchange this magic stone for money and buy Mayu some delicious food." Loki, hearing about food, got excited. "I want sweets." Are you also excitedly made a sound. Then he returned to claim his reward, startling the receptionist. "You successfully conquered the dungeon alone, sir." Tsukasa stammered, "Yes, can I exchange this magic stone for money?" The receptionist replied, "I understand, sir, I'll exchange it right away. Please wait a moment." She seemed to notice something strange. "Wait, how is a level 4 adventurer allowed to descend into a dungeon alone?" Her direct expression made him flustered. "Please," it's all over her face. A moment later, he stretched as he walked. "Good, everything's done, let's go home." Then he noticed something. He looked through the crowd and saw a familiar face. It was Kakeru, recruiting someone. "Want to join my group, Hoshigane?" The person being recruited had long, light brown hair neatly braided, and a red armband on her arm. Seeing her, Tsukasa thought, that's one of the strongest among the young awakened, Hoshigane Rin. She flatly refused the recruitment offer. "Sorry. Tadukun, I'm not interested." This left him stunned. What? Seeing such a resolute girl, Tsukasa was slightly impressed. Wow, straight to the point. Suddenly, Rin noticed him. There, Kakeru also looked in her direction. What? Tsukasa, hiding behind the crowd, was quickly discovered and ran away. However, Rin chased after him. "Wait, Kisaragi-kun." He could only greet her back. "Hello, Hoshigane-san." He rubbed the back of his neck. "What a coincidence, meeting you here," she replied. "Hello, Kisaragi-kun." She stated, "The reason I'm here is to find you." This surprised Tsukasa. "Hey," Rin explained, "I received a notification from a receptionist I know. It said that a level 4 awakened person went down into a dungeon alone." She put her hands on her hips and looked straight at him. "No need to say who, but I'm sure you understand, right, Kisaragi-kun?" Tsukasa recalled the reputation of Hoshigane Rin. "She's in my class, and along with Tadu, she's one of the strongest in the academy, plus, she's beautiful, so the media loves her." He remembered a shocking news report, Bloodshine's recruitment of a new member, a promising newcomer. in my eyes, she's like a star in the sky that I can't reach. And now, she's standing here, hands on her hips, telling him, I heard that a level 4 awakened person went into a dungeon alone, you know who I'm talking about, right, Kisaragi? This made him wonder how she knew, Loki explained, probably because the effect of wordplay wore off, allowing the news to spread. Hearing that, he rubbed the back of his neck, thinking, this cheating method to enter the dungeon isn't good. Rin continued, if it's too difficult to explain, show me your D card. She smiled, or perhaps there's something you can't let others see. She pointed at Tsukasa, exposing him, causing him to blush. Seeing him like that, Rin, hands on her hips, questioned him. What's with that face? Don't tell me you can't show it. Loki was hiding somewhere just in time to speak, blinded by the color, causing Tsukasa to quickly refute, embarrassed, nothing, there is no such thing. He realized he'd just voiced his thoughts, panicked, and covered his mouth. Luckily, Rin didn't notice much. Okay, Tsukasa coughed, regaining his composure. It's not like I won't let you see my D card. He reached into his pocket, intending to take out the card, when he suddenly heard Kakeru's boisterous voice. Long time no see you. Kisaragi, he and his two former teammates, Riku and Hayato, proudly walked over to say hello. Tsukasa, also tense, called out, to do. Kakeru, still arrogant, mentioned the past incident. I heard you're safe and sound, but seeing you like this makes me really happy. Hayato added, it's good you're alright. Riku also chimed in, shamelessly, no wonder you're one of us. Hearing the three guys abandoning him and paying no attention to him made him so angry that he clicked his tongue. Rin also noticed his attitude. Kakeru offered again, let's forget about that, Hashigane, I'll ask again, do you want to join our group? If you join, we'll definitely be the strongest group in Japan. His face was full of arrogance as he said this. But Rin didn't give Tsukasa a look that only cared about her. Kisaragian, quickly show me your D card. He took it out and handed her the card, saying, go ahead. Rin took it and examined it carefully. The card showed his level as 15, his skill as copy, and a special achievement, Solo Goblin Cave Conquest. She said contentedly, it's really you, and you soloed a dungeon, too. Kakeru, who had been eavesdropping, incredulously interjected, what solo conquest? Rin ignored him and continued talking to Tsukasa. Your level's gone up quite a bit, too. Makes sense, you defeated the boss, right? Relieved to have gotten away with it, he thought, good thing I forged the information beforehand. Loki, hidden somewhere, take a bow. Rin pondered, at such a low level, to solo a dungeon, that's a rare talent. He just chuckled nervously at the praise, thinking, it was all thanks to Loki. Kakeru's boisterous voice interrupted, fake news, this kid soloed a dungeon, with his trash skill, absolutely no way, he must have done something shady. If you confess now, you might still get leniency. Kakeru gritted his teeth. Rin didn't ignore it anymore but frowned and reminded him, to-do-kun, are you serious? What illegal thing can a D-rank person do? What did your words confuse Kakeru? Rin turned to Tsukasa with a smile, you went into the dungeon alone, meaning you don't have a party, right? She proposed an idea, so, what do you think about forming a party with me, and going into a dungeon together next time? This surprised both Tsukasa and Kakeru. Are you kidding me? Kakeru shouted. Are you crazy? Why him and not me? Don't be fooled, someone like him couldn't possibly solo a dungeon. Listen to me, team up with me, with Hashigane with us, even intermediate dungeons would be a piece of cake. Rin cut him off with a glance, before he could finish. She crossed her arms in refusal, no matter what, Kisaragi soloing that dungeon is an undeniable fact. You guys just have fun together, I can't fit in. Then Rin looked at Kakeru and said directly, and to do, I really hate people like you. The words were deadly, delivered with a smile. He was dumbfounded. What, you, continue. And while I'm at it, don't think you can hide what you've been doing from me. He remembered abandoning Tsukasa and demanding his life. Unable to retort, he grabbed Tsukasa's shirt and yelled, Kisaragi, you son of a bitch, this is all because of your meddling. He remained silent, thinking, even if I try to explain, this guy won't listen, what do I do now? Seeing him silent enraged him, he raised his hand to punch him, yelling, shut your mouth, you trash. But Tsukasa was different now. He easily deflected Kakeru's hand and quickly dodged. Kakeru missed, cursing, damn dog. Then he gathered a fireball, why don't you use your disgusting imitation technique? Tsukasa raised his hand to stop him. Calm down, to do. But he didn't listen, unleashing his fireball skill. However, Rin came over and gently waved her hand, stopping Kakeru's stupid action. Tsukasa and he were surprised. She spoke up, To-do-kun. Do you know what you're doing? It's against the rules to use skills outside the dungeon. She questioned him with a sharp gaze. Kakeru stammered, flustered, I can't help it, it's Kisaragi's fault for lying. Hearing that, Rin sighed in exhaustion. Even now, he's still being stubborn. Then she grabbed Kakeru's hand and pulled him along. Let's go, Kisaragi. Tsukasa looked bewildered. Wait, Hashigane, we're going to speculate. Seeing them leave, Kakeru clenched his fists, his hands trembling. His eyes blazing with killing intent. Kisaragi, I'll definitely expose your fake face. Hashigane is mine. At the Kobold Village beginner dungeon, Tsukasa and Rin were facing dozens of soldiers. Kobold Village, a beginner dungeon with a recommended level of 15. I went with Hashigane as she asked, but what does she really want? Rin confidently stepped forward, asking, you intend to take them on alone? Rin reassured him, don't worry about me, watch and learn, Kisaragi. 3 soldiers lunged at her. A flurry of sword slashes instantly eliminating them. Tsukasa exclaimed in shock, so amazing. Loki said hesitantly, that sword, you asked. Do you know about it? Loki replied, yeah, it is. Rin interrupted, your turn. Tsukasa quickly understood. Get into your fighting stance, Rin encouraged, let me see your skills. He charged forward with his sword, only to be blocked on his first strike. He was surprised. The soldier jumped, attacking. Just as the sword was about to hit his head, Tsukasa quickly dodged with 3 rolls. Rin warned, don't let your guard down, kobolds are smarter than goblins. There are 2 ways to defeat a shield-bearing monster. 1, you can powerfully smash its shield. Tsukasa lunged, swinging her sword, or you can. He darted swiftly from side to side. Rin continued, use a feint to lure it, then attack from behind. His eyes glowed blue, his sword cleaving the monster's head from its body. Rin silently praised, wow, he did better than I thought. Inviting him to the platoon was a smart idea. She clapped her hands as she walked. Great job, Kisaragi, he modestly replied, you're overpraising me. She put her hand on his shoulder, encouraging him, keep up the good work, defeat the other big monsters too. He was confused, big monsters. She winked, the boss room is right behind that gate, that's the sub-boss of this dungeon. Just then, a large pair of horns appeared, shaking the whole forest. A level 15 kobold general, a majestic monster, appeared before them, with dozens of soldiers behind it. Rin ordered, take down its subordinates first. Kisaragi Tsukasa understood, okay, the 2 combine well to defeat one after another. The kobold general swung its sword, causing both of them to recoil in surprise. And there were still many soldiers left. Tsukasa hesitated, even if we defeat the underlings, it won't do any good. Rin praised, you're sharp, so what's your plan in this situation? He suggested, quick battle, eliminate the soldiers then focus on the general. Rin cheerfully replied, exactly. Let's fight. The 2 of them fought together, defeating each enemy one by one. While hitting Tsukasa, he said, I know now is not the time to talk about these things, but you and I went into the dungeon on the guild side, don't you have any opinions? Rin still tried to reply, it's okay, I'm about to leave the guild. Tsukasa was surprised. Rin reminded, let's talk later, let's deal with these guys first. She dashed forward and landed a powerful blow on the commander. Tsukasa arrived to support her. He swung his sword, striking the monster's belly. He shouted, Hashigane. She replied, okay, let's close in on it. But it wasn't that easy. Soldiers simultaneously jumped down from above. Surrounded, they both leaped back. Everyone stood still, observing each other. Rin stamped her foot in frustration, we almost had them. Just to do alone wasn't enough trouble, but he was sweating profusely. Hashigane. Even angrier, she attacked the soldiers with her hands. What, do you want to start a guild with me? If I have to team up with a spoiled rich kid like you, I'd rather go solo. He nervously asked the furious girl, Hashigane, are you really serious about leaving the guild? He wondered, who would leave a top guild like Bloodshine? She confirmed, yes, I'm serious, the benefits are great, but the trouble is unbearable, just thinking about it makes me angry. Let's use these monsters to relieve some stress. Raising her hand, she said, my skills are area of effect attacks, my single target damage isn't very high, though. A blinding light appeared around her. With cold eyes, she said, oh stars, descend upon this place. Rocks rained down from the sky, exploding everything. Tsukasa was shocked. That's terrifying. You say it's not very strong. Is this the power of the top rookie? She cheerfully stretched. Ah, that was refreshing. Only the final boss left. Let's take a break. They both sat down and talked. Rin began, Kisaragi, do you know about the legendary hero? He honestly replied, the first adventurer in Japan to clear a hero-level dungeon, right? If I remember correctly, his name was Michinaga Dojiro, she said, but that's his old surname. After he married into the family, he changed it to Hoshigane, Rin explained. He also gave me this sword, she continued. He told me many interesting stories. About being free, exploring the world with his companions, unburdened by anything. Looking at the sky, she continued, I want to live like that too. I want to have my own great adventure, just like the stories he told. Tsukasa was slightly moved by that image. Rin continued, that's why I'm going to start my own guild soon. She turned and smiled at him. I'll need your help then, Kisaragi-kun. He shyly stammered, I'd be happy to help. She stood up, all right, enough chatting, we've rested enough, let's go to the boss room. A mystical scene, a vibrant, mysterious purple door, we're here, she announced. He added, that's the final boss room, it looks like someone's already here. 3 men were waiting on the other side. The leader said, looks like you're a bit late, I've been waiting for you, Hoshigane. And you, trashy dog, the arrogant speaker was Tadu Kakeru. Tadu Kakeru scowled at Tsukasa, and you, trashy dog. Rin said, what a coincidence, I didn't expect to meet you here. Tadu, I wonder what you're doing here. He waved his hand dismissively, come on, isn't the reason obvious? Of course, it's to rescue our precious friend. Tsukasa muttered angrily, who does he think he is, saying that? Rin hesitated, friends. Kakeru said arrogantly, how could I ignore my friend throwing himself into death? My grandfather even sponsored some equipment. Rin pressed, so, are you going to fight the boss? You got here first, so the decision is yours. I don't like it, but the right to challenge the boss goes to whoever arrives first, that's the unspoken rule. Kakeru was excited, of course we'll fight, I'll show you I have the ability to aim for the top rank, you won't forget my amazing performance. That brat who only knows how to brag keeps staring at us, Rin reminded, let them go, let's just stand outside and observe the strength of the to-do group. You agree? Yeah, next time we'll fight the boss. In another space, Loki is watching TV showing images of him in the dungeon. Kakeru's words echoed, I will show you that I really have the ability to aim for the highest rankings, I guarantee you will not forget my great performance. That boastful brat keeps staring at us. Loki listened intently, his face grim. She was furious, her eyes blazing, who do you think you're belittling, you insolent scoundrel? Kobold King, level 20, the final boss of the Kobold village. Besides having the same summoning skills as the Goblin King, it also possesses a formidable skill, Thunder Blade. Tadu confidently declared, alright, let's fight, okay, everyone attack together, coordinate perfectly. I hate to admit it, but Tadu's group is incredibly strong. The Kobold King will fall to them. The monster was hit by a fierce wave of fire. Tadu proudly turned around, boasting, what do you think, Hoshigane, this is my power. A voice rose, it was Loki, using wordplay to control the monsters, unleash your fury, become the tyrant who destroys this world. This action from Loki surprised him slightly. On Tadu's side, a red mist filled the air. He wondered, what's going on? Kobold King, level 25, in a berserk state. This is similar to when Tsukasa fought the Goblin King alone. Kakeru still underestimated the situation, launching fireballs. Dai, the sword-wielding monster charged. It fired red lightning bolts at Kakeru, causing him to cry out in pain. At the same time, the monster's sword continued its advance. It swung, sending Kakeru flying into the wall with such force that it created a deep dent. Rin couldn't believe her eyes. What in the world is happening? He angrily asked, what was the meaning of that? Loki calmly replied, don't you understand, this is punishment for those who dare obstruct you. Tadu, trembling, crawled away. The Kobold King raised his weapon from behind, aiming for a fatal blow. Kakeru, finally scared, yelled, stay away from me. The monster, without hesitation, raised its sword and swung it down. At the critical moment, Rin ran to block the massive sword. She was sweating profusely. This is too strong. Loki glared at him. Are you just going to stand there and watch? At this rate, that girl will be in danger too. You scolded her. You're such a bad person. The monster seemed amused, baring its sharp fangs. Suddenly, a foot landed on its face. It was Tsukasa. The kick sent it flying into a rafter. Rin was surprised. Kisaragi-kun, she urged, get Tadu and the others out of here, Hashigane. Leave this one to me, the enraged monster roared. Kakeru snapped, don't make me laugh, you think a weakling like you can take it down. Hayato and Riku helped him up, gently reminding him. Everyone except Tsukasa watched silently. Rin accepted, alright, I'll leave it to you, Kisaragi. Make sure you stay safe, too. She and the other two helped Tadu leave. Tsukasa sighed, even gods should know their limits when joking around. His eyes glowed green, here we go. The cute little rough Lufin appeared. Tadu was surprised, what is that? Rin was delighted, oh, it's so cute. Alright, let's go. On command, Lufin flew straight toward the monster. Tsukasa smiled, giving instructions, take care of the minions, little guy. Lufin barked in response, understanding. The monster's power was overwhelming, so he launched an attack. But it was too strong, sending him flying. Tsukasa then quickly landed safely. Suddenly something passed by, creating a cut. He had lightning-fast reflexes, slicing across the monster's shoulder. Blood splattered, he wondered if the cut was too shallow. The monster roared in pain, copy Thunder Blade, is it ready? Status panel notification, Thunder Blade copied successfully, Thunder Blade skill, effect 1. A surge of lightning enveloped the weapon, increasing attack power and penetration. Seeing this skill's effect on disrupting the enemy's movement, he exclaimed, I see, so this is a pretty tough skill. The monster stood still, without a sound. He called out to Lufin, and the small Fenrir flew in from a distance. It unleashed the Vannergan skill, attacking the monster. The Kobold King felt the pain. It screamed, shaking the entire cave. Tsukasa, used to these kinds of monsters, thought, what's the big deal, so boring. He raised his sword and used the Roar Thunder skill. The status panel showed that the Thunder Blade skill had activated. Besides buffing his weapon, this skill had another effect. The system announced, Effect 2, releases lightning, dealing area of effect damage and stunning enemies. First, Tsukasa used Effect 2, unleashing lightning to paralyze the Kobold King, then, he dashed forward, preparing the finishing blow. The monster's eyes glowed red. That's it. Then he finished it with a direct strike to its abdomen. A green light emerged from inside the monster. It let out a pained scream. Rin was stunned, frozen in place. Tsukasa cheerfully held up a green gemstone, announcing, I'm done. She hesitantly said, you worked hard, Kisaragi. Then, curiously, she wondered, who exactly is he? Loki cheerfully ate an apple and asked, hey Tsukasa, you really plan on going to the academy? I think going to dungeons and fighting is better, don't you? He explained, that's why I'm going to school, it's to prepare for going into dungeons. Plus, the academy provides a lot of information about dungeons, and I might even be able to find the person who cursed Mayu. Loki rotated the apple and continued, going to dungeons is the best way to get stronger. Alright then, whatever you want, seems like some interesting things will happen at the academy. He asked, are you going back? Loki gently said, I'm looking forward to your performance, Tsukasa. Tenjetsu Academy. Into a classroom, Tsukasa confidently entered, met with the astonished gazes of all the students. They whispered, Kisaragi's still alive, how long will that failure continue to be an adventurer? He secretly guessed that they thought he was dead, probably Tadu's doing. Rin walked up to him. She smiled gently and said, good morning, Kisaragi, thank you so much from yesterday. He replied, good morning, Hashigane, after such a valuable training experience, I should be thanking you. Rin suddenly remembered, oh, right, about the next dungeon, what about the intermediate level Spirits Realm dungeon? She thought, I still don't fully understand Kisaragi's abilities, I'll definitely find out his secret. He saw Rin's expression and secretly guessed, she's definitely suspicious of me, I shouldn't have shown off my skills in front of her. Other classmates curiously asked each other, why does Hashigane seem so close to that failure, is she out of her mind, teaming up with him? Rin asked, when are you free after school today? Suddenly, someone entered. Tadu Kakakeru's arrival silenced everyone. He frowned. Then he walked straight up to him and shouted, Kisaragi, you dare show your face here? Rin, annoyed, retorted on his behalf, that should be coming from us, you have some nerve saying that. The two looked at each other with hatred. Tsukasa stood behind, sweating bullets. I don't want this to become stressful. Tadu challenged, fight me, Kisaragi, I'll expose your fake face to everyone. You couldn't help but worry, how did it come to this? Loki watched and chuckled with amusement. Tadu taunted, you said you conquered the dungeon yourself, so why are you afraid to fight? Tsukasa hesitated slightly, not bad. Loki interjected, ordering, Tsukasa, accept his challenge. You asked incredulously, isn't this enough trouble already, why do you want to attract more attention? She calmly said, I find it entertaining, let's fight. Tell him that you accept both of his teammates, that guy in that dungeon harassed you, Loki said with a serious face, seemingly angry. Let him know who's the trash, you're helpless, if something like last time happens again, it'll be really troublesome. You slammed the table, stood up, and said, fine, let's settle this now, alright, I accept your challenge. Tadu Rin was astonished, Kisaragi. Tsukasa added, call your two other teammates, I'll fight all three of you, if you lose, don't complain about me anymore. Those defiant words made Tadu furious, his veins bulging, you, a piece of trash, dare to look down on me. Loki suggested, just fighting isn't interesting enough, how about a bet? You approvingly praised, not a bad idea. You said, if I win, you have to let Hoshigane leave her current guild and get Jedmo to approve her new guild. Your dad's the CEO of Jedmo, so that shouldn't be hard, right? And this, stop hindering Hoshigane's pursuit of her dreams. Hearing that, Rin blushed shyly, Kisaragi. Tadu gritted his teeth, his face full of anger, you're too arrogant, prepare to die. Tenjetsu Academy, Training Grounds. Tsukasa proposed, whoever falls off the platform first loses, game on. Tadu accepted, fine, I'll play along, you'll lose anyway. Tsukasa lightly swung his sword, creating a hazy dust cloud. Tadu opened, he launched fireballs flying straight at Tsukasa. Try this trick. The moment the fireballs were about to hit him, they disappeared, and Riku was suddenly in front, swinging a fist. Riku threw a punch that shattered the ground, Tsukasa quickly dodged. Riku charged again, kicking while taunting, all you can do is dodge. Tsukasa tried to defend. Inu Hayato attacked simultaneously, try blocking this. He launched a purple lightning bolt, forcing Tsukasa to hastily block it. Tadu continues, I will burn you to dust, he pointed his hand out. Firestorm, the fire turned into a fierce tornado. Rin worried, Kisaragi. Kakeru scoffed, trash will always be trash, you'll only regret it when you're dead. A voice interrupted, who's dying? Tsukasa calmly walked out of the flames. The status panel rang, the simulation skill was activated, powerful skill successfully copied. Lightning skill copied successfully. Loki yawned, even though he was almost there, he still wanted to win, this name also has a trace of humor. Humble Tsukasa, you're exaggerating, if my level hadn't increased quite a bit, I'd be dead, joke, Loki warned, don't lose, Tsukasa, he immediately affirmed, sure. I will win. After saying that, he ran towards the three opponents. Riku also lunged, raising his fist towards Tsukasa. But he simply parried it with his hand, the system announced, strength copy skill activated. Everyone was astonished. He powerfully struck Riku in the stomach. The force sent Riku flying a considerable distance. Tsukasa continued to turn. He used his foot to give a decisive kick, everyone was shocked, Yasumura. Tsukasa ends a very beautiful scene, Tadu was a bit trembling, Kisaragi you motherfucker. You emotionlessly said, shouldn't we end this, Tadu? Tsukasa's eyes were serious, let's end this quickly, Tadu. Kakeru looked at him and replied coldly, don't get cocky. Kakeru quickly launched an attack, you dog, blasts of fire flew toward Tsukasa. He swung his sword with one hand, dispersing the fire blasts. His eyes flashed. The people in the stand started whispering, what, that weakling. Rin smiled, this looks easy for Kisaragi. Tsukasa pointed his sword at Kakeru, what's wrong, did Tadu give up? Kakeru replied, I'll kill you. His eyes blazing with anger, he shouted, I'll kill your whole family, Kisaragi. Tsukasa remained calm, "Don't curse so much." Kakeru ignored him and roared, "You think you're great just because you beat Yasumura." Seeing him continue to talk made him impatient. "Stop the bickering and attack." As soon as he finished speaking, Hayato unleashed a move, summoning a purple lightning. "Get to hell, you loser." Then he launched a powerful attack towards Tsukasa. However, Tsukasa dodged and swiftly appeared before Hayato, leaving him no time to react. Tsukasa approached and placed his hand on Hayato's body, coldly saying, "It's okay for you to take my place." He activated his lightning skill. Hayato was struck by lightning all over his body, screaming in agony. Tsukasa easily dispatched one and continued towards Kakeru. "Now it's just you, to do." Kakeru gritted his teeth in anger, thinking, Kisaragi's imitation skill allows him to mimic his opponents, so he copied Inu's lightning. But besides the low success rate, it can only be used once before disappearing. This guy's luck is about to run out. Thinking this, he sneered, "I'll show you the difference in our skills." Loki chuckled upon hearing this. He still thinks he can win. How ridiculous. Tsukasa also thought to himself, "I want to keep the secret that my skills can evolve, unlike copying. Copying can only be used once, that's why I limited my use of lightning and Herculean strength again. However, the pain from my past, I will torment them right here." Kakeru interrupted Tsukasa's thoughts, "Don't get cocky just because you beat a beggar." Tsukasa retorted, "You're so good with your mouth, if you're scared, you can run, to do." Kakeru chuckled, "Your tongue, I'll cut it off myself." Then Kakeru charged towards Tsukasa. His eyes burned like flames. The two clashed in an attack. In Tsukasa's eyes, Kakeru was full of fighting spirit. "Eat shit." Then a fierce flame engulfed him. Rin in the stands shouted worriedly, "Kisaragi." Seeing Kakeru defeated, he grinned triumphantly, "How's that, you fucker?" Smoke and dust filled the air. Tsukasa was still standing and the attack had no effect on him. Kakeru's attack was incredible, holy shit. Tsukasa brushed the dust off, his face calm, "You already used that move, too much smoke, learn something new." Kakeru was slightly scared and wondered, how? Before he could find the answer, Tsukasa spoke, "Your skill didn't even hit us." Kakeru broke out in cold sweat, "What? Don't joke, my attack hit your face, you couldn't have dodged it." Tsukasa looked at his clenched hands and explained, "That explosion wasn't from your fire, it was me. Do you understand what that means?" At this moment, Kakeru realized something. He copied my skill, but since when? He remembered when he cast the firestorm. Since then, that bastard, his skills have never worked until now. Tsukasa spoke, now, interrupting Kakeru's train of thought. His gaze as cold as ice, "Let's end this fight." Tsukasa charged towards Kakeru like a gust of wind. He cursed and attacked, trying to stop him, "You dog." As usual, he deflected all his attacks, bursting through countless flames and appearing before Kakeru, leaving him no time to react. Kakeru frantically swung his sword, but Tsukasa swiftly moved behind him, too slow. When Kakeru glanced back, Tsukasa's attack landed squarely on his back. He was sent flying back tens of meters. His face darkened as he called out Kisaragi's name. Tsukasa said, "Don't move." The next second, Kakeru felt paralyzed. He couldn't even muster a single flame. Instead, a familiar flame erupted from Tsukasa, shocking Kakeru. His own flames, he wondered. His own flames, could he copy his skills again? Kakeru dropped his sword in fear. "Wait, Kisaragi, I surrender." Tsukasa snapped his fingers, and vibrant red flames erupted. "Don't worry, I'll control the flames so they won't kill you." The fire skills Kakeru had always been proud of were now being unleashed back at him by Tsukasa. Kakeru screamed in agony within the flames. He knelt on one knee before Tsukasa. Seeing Kakeru like that, Tsukasa said, "You lose, to do." He was bruised and blackened like a charred pig, stammering, "No way, how could I lose to a failure like you?" Tsukasa ignored Kakeru's wordplay, "Keep your promise." Kakeru, dazed, obeyed, "Yeah, I'll keep my word." And with that, he collapsed onto the ground. A few days after their duel, with the help of Tadu's father, the Japanese dungeon management organization Hashigane, he was able to safely leave the Bloodshine Guild. And just like that, the two of us created our own guild. Tsukasa and Rin happily high-fived in celebration. Rin stretched happily and said, "Well, since we're free, let's go." Tsukasa asked, "Go where?" She excitedly raised a finger, "Of course, to a dungeon." Tsukasa turned to her, another low-level dungeon, you look at me. No, we'll try a mid-level dungeon called the House of Death, I think it's the perfect place to start, what do you think? Tsukasa froze for 3 seconds, then exclaimed, seriously. Then the two of them actually went to the dungeon, it was dark and gloomy, the minimum level requirement was 25, it was home to many strange monsters. He looked towards Rin, thinking, if I let my guard down even a little, I'm screwed, I have to be careful. Seeing Tsukasa's thoughtful expression, Rin smiled and asked, why the long face, Kisaragi? He shyly scratched his head and explained, oh, nothing, I was just thinking about how we should be careful. Then he raised his hand to open a summoning magic circle, come, Lufin. Lufin quickly appeared, barking happily at him. When Rin saw Lufin, her eyes lit up. Oh, it's the dog from before. Lufin approached Tsukasa and played with him, he reached out and stroked its adorable head, I trust you, good boy. Rin's face turned rosy, she was so cute and adorable. Seeing Rin's longing look at Lufin, he spoke, do you want to hug it? She happily asked, can I? Then Rin hugged Lufin tightly, this soft feeling is amazing, I'm so happy. Lufin doesn't see that, he raised his hand to ask for Tsukasa's help, but received only neglect, sorry Lufin. A moment later, Rin put Lufin down and said, back to the topic, can you tell me more about this dog? Tsukasa replied, yeah, its name is Lufin. It's a summoned servant of mine. She crossed her arms, and seriously said, that listening skill seems pretty useful, where did you copy it from? Loki again spoke in thought, wow, compared to a human, she's quite sharp, she even noticed the abnormality of your skill. Hearing that, Tsukasa scratched his head and wondered, is now the time to compliment, I need to interrupt his train of thought, thinking about it, he spoke, about that. Before he could finish speaking, she laughed. You don't have to try to answer, it's quite rude to pry into someone else's skills anyway. I'll believe you. She petted Lufin's head and playfully winked, you'll trust me, right? Tsukasa couldn't have asked for more, happily replying, leave it to me. She looked at Tsukasa, happy to cooperate with him, and maybe you don't need to protect me. Before she could finish, a horde of monsters appeared. They were level 23 skeleton soldiers. Rin looked at those skeleton soldiers, I will penetrate the enemy's formation, please support me, Kisaragi. When he heard that, he asked again. Shouldn't we be more careful? She pulled out her sword, don't worry, my sword was specially made for these guys. I'll show you. Then, she charged towards the skeleton soldiers with her sword. Decisive slashes. Quickly get down. The moment the light touched them, they exploded into fragments. Seeing her powerful strikes, he thought, so, she's wielding a holy sword, it cuts through these undead like butter. Just as she cut down one group, another emerged from the ground, he wondered, things will get complicated if this continues. Then he charged forward, shouting, let's help her, Lufin. Tsukasa and his companion advanced toward Rin, who was fighting the skeleton soldiers. A kick to the face sent one flying. They stood back to back. Tsukasa reminded her, you're going too far, hush again, she cheerfully replied, thanks for the help, Kisaragi. Looking at the monsters still getting back up, he guessed, just defeating them isn't enough. Then he chopped off its head. But as soon as he did, its head reattached. These guys don't seem to know what giving up means. Tsukasa nervously said, sweating, this is bad. Loki then helplessly asked, what are you doing? Rin, while cutting down monsters, looked at Tsukasa, looks like you're in trouble, Kisaragi. I can't let you run out of stamina so quickly, so I'll help you, he curiously asked, what skill are you going to use? Lufin also curiously barked. She laughed and replied, sorry, but not now, I'll use this sword. She proudly swung her sword, I'll show you a part of this sword's power. Then Rin closed her eyes, holding the sword to her chest, and chanted, holy sword. She suddenly opened her eyes, shine forth. The sword illuminated the entire area. The skeleton soldiers simultaneously vanished in the light, leaving behind only magic stones. He asked her, is this the power of sword calamity? She explained, I only unleashed the sword's light, like a wave of light, for stubborn things like that, this is enough. Then she hugged Lufin happily, enjoying its soft fur, and said, and you collect more stones for me, I'll play with Lufin here. Lufin seemed to like her more now, barking in agreement. Tsukasa sighed, it seems she's won it over. A moment later, the two quickly reached the boss room in the dungeon. Loki spoke again, you took too long to get here, I'm bored to death. Rin cheerfully offered her hand, we got here without using any energy, now, we just need to defeat the boss. Tsukasa looked at her, so what's the strategy? Rin calmly replied, don't worry, Kisaragi, I have a plan. He asked, what is it? She didn't elaborate, but her face showed confidence, just wait, I'll show you. Inside the dark room were countless skeleton soldiers guarding another skeleton soldier. Tsukasa asked. So this is a mid-range boss. Sitting at the end of the room is a skeleton with glowing red eyes wearing a majestic cloak. It is Undead Lord level 38 skill Undead Creator level 3. Loki looked at the boss and burst out laughing, ha ha ha, looks quite majestic right? Tsukasa asked, so, what's your strategy? Rin replied with a smile, I'll wipe them out with my skill, that's all. You then assessed the situation, really, Rin confidently replied, look at this credible skill, with this type of boss, a prolonged fight is a disadvantage. Her eyes sharpened, its skill, summoning undead, is even more troublesome than summoning minions. Spending too much time defeating it will only put you at a disadvantage. She explained, summoning undead, a skill allowing the user to create and control undead at will, is one of the most powerful summoning skills. My skill can wipe out all the monsters here, including the mini-bosses, but it takes time to activate. Kisaragi, I'll need your help. You replied okay and advanced towards the skeleton soldiers. Your familiar small dog appeared beside you. Lufin and I will buy time, so don't mess it up, understand? Rin replied, who do you think you're talking to? I'll do this perfectly. A fireball appeared in Tsukasa's hand. The system announced, fire creation skill activated, you attacked the skeleton soldiers. Lufin also charged in to assist with a few blows. Watching the skeleton soldiers burn in your flames, you thought, those guys were all summoned by the boss's skill. They'll automatically disappear after receiving a certain amount of damage. If that's the case, I just need to do what I always do, right? Loki replied, in this world, simplicity is key. The Thunder Blade skill activated, you swung your sword, enveloped in lightning. Destroy the enemies before us, you swung at the surrounding skeletons. The young man leaped into the air, swinging his sword towards the enemy. But two strange blades appeared, blocking him. Two skeleton soldiers fiercely guarded their leader, causing Tsukasa to click his tongue. He used their force against him, but was knocked back. A dark shadow immediately rushed towards him. Lufin swung its claws to attack, but the soldiers managed to raise their shields in time. A large explosion occurred, but they remained standing unharmed. The boss furrowed its bony brow, its eye sockets glowing purple. A stream of energy appeared, enveloping the fallen soldiers, forming new, healthy limbs, and upgrading them in the process. Facing the strengthened soldiers, the young man wondered, is this its skill too? Loki, still laughing, said, I think it's a better choice than sheer numbers, it's quite intelligent compared to other undead. Tsukasa broke into a sweat, gritting his teeth, this isn't a joke, Loki, to be honest, the situation is pretty bad. Loki stopped laughing, his eyes cold and sharp, don't make me say it again, Tsukasa. Who is the real enemy you're facing? Just this undead? I don't think so. Tsukasa gripped his sword and replied, that's right, I can do it. A smile appeared on his lips, watch me, Loki replied, alright, entertain me. Tsukasa, now extremely serious, reminded himself, using skills without a plan is not good. He raised two fingers like a gun, with a blazing flame. Tsukasa whispered, burn. A bright line of fire shot through the frail skeleton soldiers. Loki said, oh, you concentrated the fire before releasing it, not bad, Tsukasa. Tsukasa thought, after all, this is a skill that manipulates fire, using it intelligently is crucial, right? The skeleton soldiers began to fall, their bodies trembling, causing Tsukasa to exclaim, surprisingly, even the monsters are trembling. But as they trembled, he gripped his sword, swung a powerful attack, creating a fiery whirlwind with the declaration, this is where you die. Tsukasa turned and called out, Hashigane-san. Rin, now filled with determination, replied, thank you, Kisaragi, I'm ready. She raised her hand to perform her magic, mirror image, paradise, banquet of champions, land of forever young. A powerful beam of light erupted. It said that one's skills can be affected by their mental state, activation takes time and leaves many openings, but the power it unleashes is immense. Tsukasa exclaimed, amazing. Loki added, amazing, that's the perfect word for that technique. The ground was now riddled with a large hole. He asked Rin, so this is the true power of the one hailed as the strongest of our generations awakened. Rin, meanwhile, relaxed after finishing off the skeleton soldiers. She held a massive glowing stone. Thanks to you, things went much smoother, she praised. Kisaragi, flustered, replied, I didn't do much, let me hold that for you. Loki teased, after all, you only bought us some time. Tsukasa's face fell at this. Rin walked away wearily. Let's go, I don't want to stay in this damp place another minute, she said. Suddenly, Luffy barked several times, prompting Tsukasa to ask, what is it, Luffy? Loki suddenly warned, be alert, Tsukasa, it seems the battle isn't over yet. The young man asked, bewildered, what do you mean? But from behind them, a terrifying surge of power appeared. He immediately turned around. A giant skeleton warrior with two horns grinned wickedly. It was an archdemon, level 50, with hidden skills. Rin exclaimed, an archdemon, a high-level boss, why is it here? It took slow, deliberate steps towards the two of them. Rin, holding the glowing stone, yelled, Tsukasa, get over here quickly. As he ran towards her, he thought, that's a teleportation stone. Teleportation stones are items that can instantly transport the user to the dungeon entrance in emergencies. A green light enveloped Rin as the others ran towards her. Tsukasa and Luffy luckily made it just in time. He regretted that it was a very expensive item, but it was his only option at that moment. Seeing they were safe, Rin held up the stone and shouted, teleport. It emitted a dark, oppressive magical aura towards its prey. Rin gripped her sword tightly. It seemed they had no choice but to fight. Tsukasa mentally asked, Loki, could this also be your doing? Loki waved their hand dismissively, do you think I'm that cruel? I may be a harsh person, but I've never surprised you like this before, but... Loki gritted their teeth in annoyance, it seems someone deliberately did this, they must be incredibly bold. Tsukasa carefully observed, you mean we have to find a way to defeat it ourselves? Loki sighed. It seems so. Rin looked blankly at Tsukasa, are you alright, Kisaragi? Tsukasa nodded, I'm fine, just a few things are bothering me. Rin chuckled nervously, being careless at times like these is truly reckless. He just tiredly looked at the monster before them, reckless, I hope so. Now, Sen's power glowed pink and purple, the archdemon's hand also held a formidable golden aura. Rin immediately assumed a defensive stance, so, what's the plan? Kisaragi. Tsukasa countered with a question, how long until you can use your skill again? Rin estimated, about 5 minutes. Tsukasa confidently replied, alright, Hashigane, can you hold back until you're ready? Rin firmly refused, no, I'll attack it at the same time as you. Tsukasa was flustered, but if you do that, we both will. Rin interrupted him, placing her hand on her sword hilt, did you forget, I still have this sword. She raised her sword high. We'll fight together today, okay, Tsukasa smiled, accepting, yeah, but don't do anything too dangerous. We'll need your skill to defeat this guy. And before them, the archdemon gathered magical energy in its arm. A black and gold lightning bolt shot towards Tsukasa, he quickly swung his sword to deflect it. A drop of sweat trickled down his cheek, you're rushing it, calm down, we're weaker than you. Tsukasa looked at the bloodthirsty archdemon, thinking, he's not being serious, this guy just wants to toy with us, I don't like this at all. Tsukasa raised his sword and activated his lightning sword skill, when the weaker side is cornered. They'll counterattack. With that, he swung his sword, unleashing a dazzling beam of electricity. Luffy, not to be outdone, unleashed a claw attack towards the archdemon. But the archdemon effortlessly absorbed and crushed those attacks into pieces. Tsukasa yelled, gathering a fireball on his fingertip, take this, his flame master skill activated. He leaped into the air and fired it straight at the archdemon. The boss remained calm and unfazed, causing Tsukasa to exclaim, not a single scratch. Seizing the opportunity, Rin quickly slashed his sword at the demon lord's body. The archdemon's body was cut with irreparable wounds. Rin rejoiced silently, her sword could wound it. But before long, the archdemon unleashed thousands of lightning bolts at her. Rin coldly snorted, ducking to deflect the lightning. This is nothing, she muttered. Tsukasa cried out in alarm, Hashigane-san, watch out. By the time Rin reacted, the archdemon stood before her. She instinctively raised her sword to defend herself. The archdemon swung its arm with tremendous force, sending her flying. Her body slammed into the wall, causing her to cough up blood. Tsukasa cried out in worry, "Hashigane-san." Rin quickly regained her composure. "I'm okay, Kisaragi, I finally have enough distance." She gripped her sword firmly with both hands. Rin closed her eyes, activating her skill, Aurora, Gildio Scales, undefeated god of war, holy sword. Rin's aura flared, golden holy power mixed with the dark space as she cried out, "Release." Her blue eyes blazed as she declared, "I'm here." Her speed was so fast it created afterimages. Rin continuously stabbed and slashed at the archdemon. She glanced back and signaled to Kisaragi-kun. A powerful sword imbued with blue lightning immediately swung down. Tsukasa leaped, slashing at the archdemon's shoulder before landing gracefully. He commanded, "Lufen." The dog, understanding instantly, barked and clawed. Their combined attack exploded the archdemon. Tsukasa landed, questioning, "Did it work?" Rin replied, "Perfectly." As the flames subsided, the archdemon still stood there, coughing amidst the dust. Exclamations of surprise echoed throughout the area. "What the?" Tsukasa weakly cried out, "No way, it didn't work." Loki calmly observed, "No, the attack clearly worked. It just recovers quickly, all high-level bosses have that ability." Tsukasa was flustered. "What do we do now?" Loki calmly propped their chin. "Simple, either we keep fighting until it can't take any more. Or a one-hit kill." Tsukasa gritted their teeth. "One hit, could Hashigane's move do it, but it'll take a long time to use it again. Tsukasa only has one last resort. Loki, I have a request." Loki was stunned. Go on, please, lift the restriction on authority." She asked again, bewildered, "What are you talking about? The effect of the words I placed on you ended a long time ago." Hearing this, Tsukasa shouted, "What?" Rin looked at him in confusion. Kisaragi Tsukasa quickly improvised, "Hashigane, I have an idea." The archdemon's hands were overflowing with thunderous magical power. It coldly controlled the imposing lightning, standing in the air. Rin stammered, "What?" Before she could fully recover from her shock, the archdemon unleashed a lightning strike. The violent attack created a powerful pillar of lightning. The archdemon laughed triumphantly and mockingly. From within the dust, a deep voice boomed, "What's the rush?" The system announced, "Authority skill activated." Tsukasa's body overflowed with power. "Time to dance, boy." He confidently challenged. "Now, the real game begins."